Hello, my name is Gavin. This is St Werburgh's Church on Werburgh Street in Dublin. The church itself dates from between 1715 and 1760. This is obviously maybe the fourth or fifth church to stand on the site. There's been a St Werburgh's Church on the site since at least 1178, probably a little bit earlier. St Werburgh herself is almost unknown outside of Chester in England. The saint was brought over by the men of Chester, Anglo-Norman invaders who came and dedicated a church in honour of the patron of their home city, Chester. For many years it was the Church of Dublin Castle, and very much associated with the castle administration and with the lords and ladies of Dublin Castle. That's why, as you can see, we have the royal coat of arms on the vice-regal pew. The Lord Lieutenant was sworn in this church and would have attended the church for his statutory obligations to attend a few services a year and also for Sunday services. So it was the society church where people would have come to see and be seen by the Lord Lieutenant. The pulpit originally came from Dublin Castle, from the Chapel Royal, which was built in 1814, as far as I know. It only remained in the Chapel Royal in Dublin Castle for a few years and was moved over here to this church shortly thereafter. It was for a long time felt that the pulpit was carved by Grindling Gibbons, who did most of the carving for Hampton Court Palace and a lot of the carving for St Paul's in London. In more recent years, a question mark hangs over whether or not it is Grindling Gibbons or is indeed a close imitation of his work. The other thing to note about the church is the original Georgian interior. It has escaped through neglect or through preservation. A lot of the restorations of the Victorian period in the late 1800s in particular, when a lot of churches in Dublin were restored. The windows, for example, of plain glass are quite rare amongst churches in Dublin. Mostly the Victorians would have ripped those out and replaced them with stained glass to make the place appear older than it is. You can see that phenomena in St Patrick's Cathedral, for example, or in St Michael's on Church Street. The bell, which is in the centre of the aisle, was donated by James Nappertandy, who was a church warden, and still bears his name along the rim of the bell. Nappertandy was one of the main players in the United Irishmen's Rebellion and was the church warden of the church. Himself, as well as Lord Edward Fitzgerald and many members of the congregation, were involved in the Rising, and the church gained a reputation after 1798 for disloyalty. In other words, it was looked at suspiciously by Dublin Castle and sort of fell out of favour as the church of high society. The font is unusually placed. It's quite unusual to have a font in the middle of an aisle. The reason it is there is because it's the font where Jonathan Swift was baptised. And there are many other people who were baptised in the font of note, including Dr. Barnardos, who was born and lived on Beam Street, I think.